Have you ever felt like your flaws are holding you back? Your anxiety, your insecurities, your past mistakes, as if you're too broken to ever become someone great? Pause for a second. What if I told you your weakness isn't a mistake, but a mark of selection? Yes, a sign that Allah has chosen you. It sounds almost outrageous, doesn't it? But stay with me, because in this video, we're going to uncover how the very things you want to hide may be the very things Allah is using to bring you closer to Him. This video is not about motivation, it's about awakening. We'll follow the path of prophets, explore divine patterns, and by the end, you might just look at your weakness and whisper, Ya Allah, thank you for choosing me. Quick question though, if Allah wanted perfect people to carry out His plan, why did He choose a man who couldn't speak clearly to face a tyrant? Let's find out. Point 1. Allah uses weakness to establish connection. Let's start with Prophet Musa. Alayhi salam, he had a stutter, a speech impairment, yet Allah said, go to Pharaoh. He has truly transgressed. Quran 20:24. Imagine standing before the most powerful man alive, trying to speak truth to power and not being able to get the words out. Musa begged Allah, my Lord, expand for me my chest, ease my task for me, and untie the knot from my tongue. Quran 20:25-27. And still Allah chose him. Because your weakness isn't the disqualification, it's the invitation. Allah wants you to feel incomplete, so you come to the one who completes all things. Point 2. Weakness keeps you dependent on Allah. We live in a world that glorifies strength, power, control, independence. Be self-made, they say. Don't show weakness. But Islam teaches the opposite truth. Weakness is a doorway to nearness with Allah. When we feel strong, we drift. We rely on ourselves. We forget the source. But the moment we feel weak, we fall to our knees, we raise our hands, we remember the one who never forgets us. Dua is not a backup plan. It is the main weapon of the believer, and weakness is the very condition that activates it. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad said, whoever humbles himself for the sake of Allah, Allah will raise him. Muslim, your weakness, it's not failure, it's humility, carved deep into your soul, and Allah loves the humble. But let's go deeper. What if your weakness isn't just about you? What if it's part of something far bigger? What if your breaking is part of someone else's healing? What if your delay is someone else's answered dua? What if your test is the bridge to someone else's tawbah? Allah weaves stories with infinite wisdom. You don't see the whole picture, but you're part of a masterpiece. So don't despise your weakness. Don't wish it away so quickly, because right now, when you feel like you have nothing left, you're actually closer to Allah than you've ever been. You're not meant to be self-made. You're meant to be allied, forged in fire, shaped by patience, humbled by pain, but carried by divine mercy. So next time the world says, get stronger, whisper instead, Ya Allah, keep me in need of you. Because the more you depend on Him, the higher He raises you. Point 3. Your flaws serve a greater purpose. Let's go back to the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, a prophet. But before that, a brother betrayed a child thrown into a well, a slave in a foreign land, a prisoner falsely accused at every turn. It looked like weakness. It looked like rejection. It looked like failure. But in the unseen, he was being positioned, not punished. Each flaw in his journey, every injustice, every limitation, was not a detour from his purpose. It was the purpose, because that well, it led to Egypt. That prison, it led to the palace. That pain, it opened the door to power. Your story is no different. The very things you think disqualify you, the flaws you hide, the mistakes you regret, the weaknesses you pray no one sees, might be the exact ingredients Allah is using to build your future. Because He is the miracle, while others are breaking under pressure. You are being built. Your flaws humble you. Your struggles soften you. Your silence teaches you. And all of it, every moment that doesn't make sense, says shaping you into someone ready for more. Don't let the world define strength for you. Strength, in the sight of Allah, is not perfection, it's surrender. It's trusting the process even when the process hurts. So, maybe you're not in control right now. Maybe you feel lost, unseen, unworthy. But just because you're not in charge doesn't mean you're not in God's plan. The plan is still on, even if the map looks messy, even if the doors look closed, because the one writing your story knows exactly where each flaw belongs, and he never wastes a broken piece. Point 4. The illusion of worldly split. Flip the script for a moment. Who looked stronger, Pharaoh or Musa alayhissalam? One had an empire, the other had a stutter. One commanded armies, the other could barely speak. One had palaces, the other had a stick. If you looked with the eyes of the world, Pharaoh was the clear winner. Power, wealth, fear, influence. He was the man everyone obeyed. But Allah wasn't impressed, because behind the throne was arrogance. Behind the empire was pride. And pride is a poison Allah does not tolerate. Indeed, He does not like the proud. Quran 16:23. Now look at Musa. He didn't feel ready. He told Allah he couldn't speak clearly. He was scared, but he was also humble, and that humility made him chosen. Because Allah doesn't choose the strongest, He chooses the most sincere. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Quran 49:13. So let's bring it back to you. You scroll through your feed. You see people with the perfect lives. The car, the body, the followers, and you think, I'm behind. I don't have what they have. But maybe what you do have is what they've lost: Allah's attention. His softness, His mercy wrapped around your quiet, broken heart. Because the illusion of worldly strength fades. Power, corrupt status can blind, but a pure heart, one that remembers Allah in fear and in hope. That's the real crown. So don't envy power that comes without peace. Don't wish for influence that empties the soul. If all you have is humility and dua, you have more than kings, because on the day when thrones collapse and wealth means nothing, only one kind of strength will matter: the strength to kneel before Allah with a clean heart. Point 5. Weakness builds sincerity. When you're weak, you stop pretending. You get real. Real tears, real duas, real tawbah. And that's what Allah wants from you. The Prophet Muhammad said, Allah does not look at your bodies or wealth, but He looks at your hearts and your deeds. Muslim sincerity often emerges from suffering, and weakness strips away the ego until only sincerity remains. If you're struggling right now, maybe you're being purified, not punished, and you'll need that purity. Because what comes next in your life might demand a stronger version of you. Point 6. Weakness as a precursor to transformation. Here's something few people realize: the greatest transformations come right after the lowest points. Like the night before, Foga is the darkest. Your spiritual growth often begins in shadows. Ibrahim alayhis salam was thrown into fire. Musa was cornered at the sea. Maryam cried out in despair, and each time, Allah intervened with a miracle. So the question isn't whether you feel weak. The question is, are you about to witness a turning point? Your weakness may simply be the signal that Allah is about to act. Point 7. Weakness makes you more compassionate. The people who are most broken are often the ones who become the most merciful to others. They know what it feels like to fall, to struggle, to be judged. And because of that, they walk gently. They forgive faster. They lift others up. Allah isn't just building you for you. He's building you for the people you'll help. Because strength without mercy is dangerous. But strength that came from weakness, that's divine. Point 8. Allah chose you for a mission. You are not a mistake. Your pain is not random. Your struggle is not meaningless. Allah chose you. Yet you, with your imperfections, with your hidden battles, with your trembling duas and silent heartbreaks, He chose you to carry a mission that others couldn't bear. Not because you were the strongest, but because you were the most sincere. When Allah loves a person, He tests them. Sahih Bukhari. Why? Because tests purify. They burn away the pride. They strip the soul of false attachments. They break the illusion of control. until you're left with only one truth. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no power and no strength except with Allah. That's not just a phrase. It's a state, a posture of the heart that says, I can't do this alone. Ya Allah, carry me. And that's exactly where He wants you. Because from that place of weakness, Allah rebuilds you, not into who you were, but into who you're meant to become. Think of every prophet, every righteous soul. None were given easy lives. They were insulted, exiled, broken, but they were also chosen. And so are you. So stop asking why me, and start saying, what now, Ya Allah? Because behind every hardship is a calling, a role that only you can play, a corner of the world only your presence can touch, a soul only your story can inspire. Allah does not test randomly, He tests intentionally, with divine wisdom, with precise mercy. So whatever you're going through, don't see it as rejection, see it as selection. You are being shaped, trained, prepared, not for comfort, but for impact, and that mission begins with surrender. Point 9. Weakness leads to tawakkul. Tawakkul, trusting in Allah. It's not a theoretical concept. It's what you grab onto when you've tried everything, ... and it still falls apart. Your weakness is what pushes you to finally say, Ya Allah, you take over. I can't do this on my own. And that's when the doors open. That's when help comes from places you didn't expect. Because trusting Allah is the point where you end and He begins. And that's exactly where the miracles happen. Closing message. So the next time you feel ashamed of your weakness, remember this: you're not broken, you're being built. Allah is not rejecting you, He is selecting you. The pain, the flaws, the struggle, each one is a divine chisel, sculpting your soul for a higher purpose. So stop running from it. Stop wishing it away. Say, Ya Allah, if this weakness is how you bring me closer, then I accept it. Because some of the most beautiful journeys in Islam begin with someone who felt they were too weak to begin, but Allah had already chosen them. If this video resonated with you, then the next thing you need to understand is this: greatness is not built in a day. It's built daily. Your small habits, small prayers, small steps, they matter. So click on the video on your screen now. The power of compounding Islam. It'll show you how your tiniest acts can stack into something massive in your dunya. And your akhir.yazakum. Allahu Khairan for watching. And remember, your weakness is not the end. It might just be the beginning of your divine story.